Possibly make us speak to any of the people around you. I just want to understand, earlier you brought us an interview with Basavaraj Bommai, the Chief Minister's son. He'd been very confident that all the development, according to him, that Bommai had brought to the region would be enough to make them sail through. But do the people in the region around you, do they reflect the same confidence?
Well, we'll try and bring you those local voices as well. I'll request my video journalist to come along with me so that I get you what the locals of Shiggaon has to say. While I can see a few Mahila Karyakartas of the BJP here, we'll try and understand what they have to say about the kind of the atmosphere right now here. CM Basavaraj Bommai ಅವರು ಇವತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಶಿಗಾಂವಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಡ್ ಶೋ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕಿಚ್ಚ ಸುದೀಪ್ ಅವರು ಸಹ ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬೊಮ್ಮೈ ಅವರು ಎಂತ ಕೆಲಸನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರಿಂದನೂ ಒಂದ್ ಥರದಿಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಥರದಿಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ. ಕುಡಿಯೋಕೆ ನೀರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾರು, ನಡೆಯೋಕೆ ರಸ್ತೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾರು, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಅವ್ರು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಈಗ CMನವರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ.
ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಬೊಮ್ಮೈ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಕಿಚ್ಚ ಸುದೀಪ್ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಯಾರಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಬೊಮ್ಮೈ ಅವ್ರಿಗ ಕಿಚ್ಚ ಸುದೀಪ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ?
ಬೊಮ್ಮೈ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬರಂತೇವ್ರಿ, ನಾವು ಅದ್ರಾಗ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವ್ರಿ. ನಾವು
ಬೊಮ್ಮೈ ಅವ್ರು ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ
ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ.
Well, that's the kind of atmosphere that is right now in Shiggaon. As said, you see, most of them are trying to understand the kind of development work that CM Basavaraj Bommai has done in the Shiggaon. So they are really trying to stick to the kind of development works that have taken place in the Shiggaon, because what most of the locals here in fact alleges that all this while there was a poor infrastructure in Shiggaon, but after Basavaraj Bommai came into the power and became an MLA from this particular assembly constituency, there's a huge development that has taken place. So they go by the development, while of course there would be other issues as well that would be for which the Bommai might have to face a heat also.
Tell us, Ritu, what those issues have been for the Shiggaon region. If you could just walk us, let's take a deeper dive into the politics that is played out there, the development that has hopefully played out there over the last few years. What have the last 5 years looked like for the Shiggaon constituency?
Well, you see, why is this Shiggaon constituency very interesting that way, that one really have to look after, is also because of the percentage of the communities that we get to see here in the Shiggaon. You see SC, you see ST, also Kuruba community. Kuruba community is 11%, SC is 11%, ST is 6%, and also Lingayat community is 37%, and minor community is almost 27%. But when we talk about the Lingayat community, which happens to be the dominant, then you see almost 80% of the people belong to Panchamasali community here again. So, but however, we are trying to bring these visuals that we see a few movement here in the Shiggaon. Seems like there is an arrival of the senior leaders of the party here. CM Basavaraj Bommai, Nalin Kumar Katil, JP Nadda, the Kannada star Kiccha Sudeep as well. People all trying to wave their hands. So these are the visuals that CNN News 18 is trying to bring you right now. The kind of atmosphere that which is there in the Shiggaon, where you can see people all waving their hands at the leaders. But we'll have to see who that is in that particular vehicle. But you see, it's complete. The Shiggaon is completely decked up in saffron color. Of course, too much of enthusiasm. People are all excited to see CM in the home constituency. That is Kiccha Sudeep. Well, we bring you that visuals. We are bringing you these visuals here at CNN News 18, where you see Kiccha Sudeep coming out of his vehicle and waving his hand. In fact, he has also gone down, waving his hand. For a selfie, in fact, so that's the kind of of course the atmosphere is too much colorful here. They're all very excited as well. JP Nadda, that you can see in our frame there again, climbing, taking the stairs to garland the all three of them are here. They will be garlanding Rani Chennam statue here at Shiggaon, and then this will mark as in the official flag of the campaigning as well from the Shiggaon, where Kiccha Sudeep is giving all that support to CM Basavaraj Bommai. Remember, CM had told Kiccha Sudeep to support him this time in this election. But of course, Kiccha Sudeep, who says that he really maintains a good rapport with the CM and his family members. He has always kept him as very closest person. So that's the reason why you see right now that Kiccha Sudeep is here in Shiggaon with full of trying to support CM Basavaraj Bommai as well in his constituency. In fact, we did hear how it is all going to be this time in the Shiggaon. So that's the kind of atmosphere that we're getting to see in the Shiggaon.
Ritu, just stay with us. Let me just tell our audiences on their screens right now. On the left side, you're looking at the Chief Minister, Basavaraj Bommai, standing once again from the Shiggaon constituency, filing his nomination today. And on his right side, Kannada superstar Kiccha Sudeep, who you'll remember a few days ago had announced that he would be supporting Bommai, who he referred to as his uncle, in his political bid this time. You might remember that the superstar had also clarified that this wasn't necessarily support for the BJP as much as it was support for Bommai in particular. When asked if he would throw his support behind the Congress, he tactfully, in fact, avoided that question. He said all his support goes behind his uncle, who had helped him at many points. We've seen the Chief Minister and the Kannada superstar share a back and forth multiple times in public, on Twitter. Right now you can see they're getting off the platform. Sudeep leading the way, Bommai following him. Bommai has already been the MLA from this region multiple times. He's won the elections in 2008, 13 and 18. So experts do consider this to have been, typically in the past at least, a safe seat for him. All right, as we keep looking at those visuals, I'll continue to bring you details. Then we'll go back to my colleague Ritu for more questions. Remember, as Ritu was pointing out, this will be a particularly interesting election for Basavaraj Bommai. The Shiggaon constituency is one that has a large Panchamasali and a large Muslim community within its population. That's why the Congress has fielded a Muslim candidate for the fourth time. Okay, as visuals continue to come in to us from Shiggaon, and just take a look at that massive attendance. They're both for the Chief Minister who's filing his nomination, and of course to see Kiccha Sudeep, the Kannada actor. You can see both of them making their way right now. JP Nadda, the BJP president, also joining them there. This is the ceremonial filing of the nomination that is being done by Bommai for the Shiggaon constituency seat in Karnataka. This is hugely symbolic, remember, for the BJP. Bommai is expected to lead their efforts this time going into the elections. The BJP is facing strong anti-incumbency. They've got charges of corruption, for example, that they're going to have to face off this time in the elections. They've also had questions asked on the development brought to the state by the Congress. They're fighting a battle on multiple fronts. This is obviously a very, very important battle for them. Now let's go back to my colleague Ritu right now to understand more. Ritu, I just want to understand from you, this is a seat that Bommai has won multiple times in the past. How should our audience look at the fact that he asked Kiccha Sudeep to campaign with him? Should we look at it perhaps as a lack of confidence at all, or would you not look at it that way? I'm not entirely sure if Ritu is able to hear us, but on your screens right now, let's walk you through what you can see. Standing there on the truck, Kiccha Sudeep on the left, JP Nadda in the center, and on the right, there was Basavaraj Bommai, the Chief Minister of Karnataka. You'll remember, Basavaraj Bommai has not been the Chief Minister from the start of the term. It was in fact B.S. Yediyurappa who was the Chief Minister. He was shunted out reportedly because he was too old, or at least that is what was said. And Bommai was brought in a few years into the term. He's been the Chief Minister of Karnataka over the last few years. Now we'll bring you more context, but again, remember the Shiggaon constituency is one that has a very large Panchamasali Lingayat community and a large Muslim community within it, which is why the Congress has fielded a Muslim candidate over there. Now my colleague Harish Upadhyay is with us also. Harish, as we take a look at these visuals, bring us context. Basavaraj Bommai has won multiple times from this constituency. Tell us then, the fact that he asked Kannada superstar Kiccha Sudeep to campaign with him, should we look at that as a lack of confidence, or is that the wrong way to look at it?
Well, it definitely indicates that probably the Chief Minister is not very confident of retaining this seat without breaking much of a sweat. That's primarily the reason that we are seeing Sudeep backing him in Shiggaon. Not just that, also the fact that despite filing a nomination on Saturday, the Chief Minister has filed a second set of nomination today. It's not unprecedented as such, but usually we see leaders filing nominations, two sets of nominations at the same time, probably on the same day. The only difference is if there is an astrologer who's suggesting them to file another set of nomination on another day, then we see such instances. But here, the Chief Minister filing one set of nomination on Saturday and then another today with a huge roadshow probably indicates that the Chief Minister wants, one, some star power, second, some national leaders also to be part of this roadshow in Haveri. Many believe that Shiggaon, which has perhaps the highest majority of Panchamasali Lingayats as voters, could be a dicey seat for the sitting Chief Minister. Remember, Panchamasali Lingayats have been miffed with Basavaraj Bommai with the way he's handled the whole Panchamasali Lingayat issue. He's, although at the back end of his tenure, managed to break the reservation, 4% reservation given to Muslims and given 2% of it to the Panchamasalis. There are issues with it. One, whether it's legally maintainable or not, because the Supreme Court has already expressed its view on withdrawing reservation given to the Muslims. One. Second, most Panchamasali Lingayat leaders are saying we had asked for much more. We wanted the reservation to be proportionate to our population. We are one of the most dominant, numerically dominant castes in Karnataka, and just a mere 2% hike doesn't do justice to the kind of agitation and demand that we have placed. So clearly, Chief Minister is worried, adding to the fact that he might not be able to give a lot of time to his constituency, being the Chief Minister and one of the prime faces for the party here. He will have to campaign extensively for other leaders, especially wherever the BJP is in a tight spot, which means he can't dedicate all his time to Shiggaon. He will have to travel, and in his absence, there's nobody else who can manage that constituency for him. We've had B.S. Yediyurappa campaign extensively in other places and not going to Shikaripura, but you had Vijayendra and his other son Raghavendra helping B.S. Yediyurappa in the constituency. But this time round for Basavaraj Bommai, nobody really who can bail him out in Shiggaon. He's on his own, and that's perhaps the reason why he's trying every trick in the book to ensure that there is a big message that goes across in Shiggaon, and it's not a difficult path for him towards victory in Shiggaon.
Harish, can you explain to us, if we take into account everything you've just explained, especially when it comes to the large proportion of Panchamasali Lingayat community that is in this area, why did the Congress not decide to go with a Lingayat face against him? They went instead for Mohammad Yusuf Savanur, and they've tried in the past 3 times to field minority community members against him, but unsuccessfully. Why did they decide then to repeat that tactic?
Well, it's a strategy that was deliberated for quite a long time. In fact, for a good 2 weeks, the party leadership was very keen on having Vinay Kulkarni, a Panchamasali Lingayat MLA, who's currently contesting from Dharwad, move to Shiggaon or contest from 2 seats. That didn't happen because we understand Vinay Kulkarni wasn't very keen on it, and the party couldn't find another Panchamasali Lingayat who would have gone to Shiggaon and managed to challenge the Chief Minister. And with no other option, the party thought that it's best to go with the minority candidate. The calculation here is that the minority candidate will manage to retain most of the minority votes. And if a fraction of the Panchamasali Lingayat vote currently that would have gone to BJP, that has traditionally gone to the BJP, shift towards the Congress, then that could be a game changer. That could make it extremely difficult for Mr. Bommai in Shiggaon. The other aspect here is, remember, despite Shiggaon being the Home Minister's constituency, it's not one of the most developed districts in Karnataka or developed constituencies in Karnataka. There are teething issues, especially basic infrastructure missing, whether it's drinking water, sanitation, transport, and parts of Shiggaon, which also are in Samnoor, they're unhappy that the Chief Minister hasn't done anything to Samnoor. And that's where the Congress candidate comes from. So all these permutations and calculations would have been worked out by the Congress party before fielding Mr. Samnoor.
Okay, I'm actually going to, Harish, come back to you in a minute because I want to understand more about what you just touched on, which was Shiggaon's civic issues in the last 5 years. Just stay with us for a second. I want our audiences to be able to hear some of the sounds, some of the mood of celebration right now in Shiggaon. Then we'll come back to you. Okay, let's go back to Harish now. Harish, you were describing to us the Chief Minister has been an MLA from here since 2008. Yet you were saying in the last more than a decade, especially in the last few years, residents really complain about the lack of development here. Can you bring us more context?
Well, there are basic issues in Shiggaon. As I mentioned, whether it's drinking water, sanitation, transport, housing, all these are issues that people have flagged off from Shiggaon, lack of job employment, job opportunities in Shiggaon, but none of it has been addressed. Remember, the Chief Minister, although wasn't in power since 2019, it was Yediyurappa who became the Chief Minister first, but he was the Home Minister. He was someone who was seen as top 3 in the Karnataka BJP government here. And despite that, if Basavaraj Bommai has failed to ensure adequate funding for various projects in Shiggaon, there will be people who would ask if we have benefited really from their MLA becoming the Chief Minister of Karnataka. He will have a lot of explaining to do. But Mr. Basavaraj Bommai and BJP hoping that the fact that he was the Chief Minister and there is talk of he getting another opportunity if the BJP comes to power, would be enough for people to have hope and vote for him.
Harish, tell us, what have our reporters found on the ground? I'm not, asking you to predict. That would obviously not be the right thing to do. But what do people on the ground say? Are they satisfied with the fact that he was also the Chief Minister? Are they understanding?
Well, many saying that some of these projects have been launched in the last leg of his tenure, and that is forcing many to ask if this was done just purely with an intention of winning the election and not really with an eye on welfare of people. That's one question that many are asking. Second is they're also comparing the kind of developments that have happened in Shiggaon with other